Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel with my creaky chair, which I apologize for, but welcome back nonetheless. I appreciate you all being here, stopping by, hopefully having a wonderful rest of your day. Gotta tell you, I gotta get the album up, I gotta get the information up because I completely forgot to do so, but today we're going to check out Fish. We're going to listen to some solo material from him. We're going to listen to this track, hold on, I gotta pull it up here. Rose of Damascus. The information is still loading. I'm actually on his website. Released 2020. It's actually going to be his final studio album as well that we're going to listen to. Not the whole album, not right now, but at least this particular track. This particular track had been suggested. Hold on, I gotta pull your name up here really quick. By Carter Link. You had suggested this track 3 years ago. So thank you so much for the recommendation. Apologies for the wait. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. So, of course, we've listened to Marillion quite a bit, and now we're going to listen to some solo material from Fish. I've heard a lot about this album, and I even remember seeing the album cover when it had originally came out, and I think the album cover looks really cool. I think the name is really cool. I don't know what it means, but I think it sounds cool. Let's see if we can find a meaning on that. And I saw that this track had been also highly suggested. All right, so I have the definition here of Weltschmerz. At least that's how I believe it's pronounced.
Weltschmerz.
Okay, Weltschmerz, which is a feeling of melancholy and world weariness. I like that. So I like at the end of his career, since this is his last album, a feeling of melancholy and world weariness after having, in a sense, lived and experienced much of the world. So let's go ahead and dive into this track. We'll discuss it a little bit after, of course. Let me pull it up here for us, and we will give it a listen. Rose of Damascus, which is also 15 minutes long, which, listen, you know when I see a long track in an album, I'm drawn to it like a moth to flame. So let's flame on.
The candle stutters in the desert breeze, sets the characters dancing on a dusty page. The hearts of darkness beat in the starlight, a burning bush. The ashes glow, charcoals blacken, the embers show. The words of the prophet, the promise of miracles, prayers of deliverance, faith in the fire.
I love how mature and wonderfully aged his voice sounds.
Before a timeless dawn, the shadows crawl. The dew evaporates, the rising sun signals the movement, a world in motion. The wood smoke lingers in the patchy thorns, where partridge scuffle and nervous squall. A panicking hare breaks from his cover.
I love that fretless.
The figures wander through familiar lands, the razed rock, the scorching sands. Follow the footsteps of lost generations that gathered the flowers to place in the baskets. The scent of the petals carries the memories, the eternal fragrance of the rose of Damascus.
This is such a journey of a track already. I love that about a long song. It's really something tied into.
In the back of a bouncing car, potholes abound on the dark road to city lights, heading for coffee bars. the songs on the radio. The spell of a Friday night bewitches the heart and banishes sadness, lost in their teenage dreams, careless and free to the faith they're oblivious. Her blouse unbuttoned, she opens the collar, checks the mirror for her lipstick smile. Smoothing her dress, she glances behind her, condemning eyes are now so far away.
Trump has some depth to it too. That unorchestrated.
She moves in the bustling crowds, her confidence shows her presence invisible. The beat of the pulsing night, lifting her high on the wings of a butterfly. Deaf to the gathering storm, screams in the darkness, whispers in alleyways. She joins with the growing throng, carried away, unaware of her destiny. She breathes in the wind of change, heady with hope, the promise of freedoms, leaving the lights behind. A tear in her eye, she heads into the darkness. She wraps her skirts in ancient tissue paper, folds them away within the cellophane. Her heels in boxes, her blouse fully buttoned. She hides her heart until another day.
See how strong that sounds with that percussion.
She breathes in the wind of change, heady with hope, the promise of freedoms, joining the growing throng, carried
like that back
away,
bit.
unaware of her destiny.
Like the way the bass rises with the
Defiance scrawled on the walls, inspiring the ranks of keyboard warriors. The authors are all long gone, snatched in their sleep or dreaming in uniforms, guarding the cellar doors from the chill powdered snows, from the anti-Lebanon that silently lay a shroud on the fields of the dead and the Damascus roses.
like this calm melange of voices, gently and evenly spreading in.
Colorless men under colorless skies herd broken creatures reeking of fear into dark caves for slaughter. Desiccated heads pinned on the rusty railings in a fly-blown square, where the pendulums of corpses hanging from the streetlights mark silent time on a never-ending war. Cynical rockets flying on soft targets, creeping
This has a
streets over which helicopters hover, carrying Pandora's boxes to eviscerate, to eliminate the survivors below. Sleek, roaring jets glint on the horizon.
subtle, sinister sound that's beginning to bring innovation as well.
A hellish symphony, a monotonous cacophony, a soundtrack for the carnage on a petrified innocence, the interminable onslaught from unchallenged skies. She came to in the rubble, in the debris of her memories, in a broken world she couldn't recognize. She wanders in the landscape, a solemn wraith-like figure, in the company of ghosts she knew before. Through the canyons of the labyrinth, the twisted concrete skeletons, the clouds of smoke and dust would fill the skies. The blinded light, it fell out of the heavens and changed her life forever. She's no one left, everything is gone. She knows she has to leave. Nowhere to shelter, no food, no heat, no water, struggling to survive. On the edge of the shadows, she's aware the snipers follow. The clock is ticking down.
I like how the aggressive section beforehand kind of acted like that explosion, this bomb. And now we're in the ashes, the aftermath of that.
She was searching for a vision, some sign to give direction in this wasteland where it's a curse to be alive. When there across the crippled street, on a terracotta balcony, a splintered shard of color caught her eye. The sweet familiar fragrance, the delicate fragile petals of the damask rose. The flowers blown and battered, the roots exposed and tattered, it wills to thrive. Her nurturing hand wraps the treasured curtains in a fist of moist and clay, to carry on her journey, to find another homeland, somewhere to blossom and come alive.
It's a very emotional narrative and story that's taking place. I like how the music really captures that. We'll talk about that. Subtle flashes of
the windscreen wipers battle futilely against the swirling dust storms. Their soothing rhythm and the movement of the bus providing some temporary reassurance, lulling her into an uneasy sleep. Cautiously threading their way along ancient smugglers' routes, down through the valleys, under a ceiling of stark starlight, her only baggage, the fragments of the horrors she couldn't leave behind.
I could not wait to talk about this track. I could not wait. I was thinking about it. I had a lot to say, but I said, let me just wait till the end. Let me wait till we have a little more time instead of just interrupting the song overly. Okay. So when I chose to listen to this song from Fish, from Marillion, progressive rock, I have a certain idea of what I think I'm expecting. This being his solo album, of course, I'm expecting Fish. I'm expecting him to be in a prominent role, which of course he is. But I'm expecting, out of a 15-minute song, almost 16, I'm expecting like some progressive rock. I'm expecting some time signatures, and there's a little bit. I'm expecting like exaggerants. I'm expecting flips and tricks and solos and this and that. When I'm looking at some of the personnel, you got David Jackson on here on the sax, Vandergraaf Jr. I'm expecting Dave Stewart. I'm expecting like something, you know? And I did not get at all what I was expecting, because this is more of a take away the exaggerations of progressive rock, or what I could expect, or would expect, the stereotypes out of it. Take it out of here and just give us a straightforward story filled with depth, character, tons and tons of emotion, and some still really highly technical and highly emotional playing from the musicians that doesn't need to lean into those prog sensibilities of over-exaggerated solos. No. Kick that to the curb and let the music and the story speak for itself, which Fish allows to do in great spades. He allows the music to speak for itself, the instruments to put their musical talent through into those words, and to let it just go. And we get a great result here that I wasn't expecting, and yet by the end of it, it's clicking for me, and I'm kind of understanding and vibing and going along with what he's putting down. We'll get into the lyrics shortly, but Fish is singing here. His voice is, of course, compared to what I've familiar with him, it's aged wonderfully. It has this great maturity to it that sounds strong, filled with a certain stature, experience, and I think that comes across greatly. I like the narration and how he moves so swiftly and easily into that speaking when he just flows into that delivery, because it sounds like something worth listening to. His voice has magnitude to it, and it makes you want to listen to him as he's describing this particular story, this lady's journey. Then the instrumentals behind him, the musicians who are backing him up, are, I don't know exactly, of course, what notes they're given from Fish on how to play and how it's all composed and such, but they play towards the story. They play towards the song and the movement and the direction of this particular track. At certain points, there's some Eastern melodies that come in, which will, of course, relate to the lyrics, which I'll get into a little bit here. But everything's played with so much more certainty and subtlety, rather than let's put down a solo or something that we can, see how fast we go. The string arrangements performed by the Scottish Chamber Orchestra are done with such brilliant sensitivity, and yet they perform powerfully in those moments, in those certain scenes when the power is needed. And it's just really wonderful how the musicians capture the journey that's taking place within this particular track. I'm going to kind of tie this all together, but it's kind of important that I use the lyrics as we're doing this. So I want to go over them all together, because this will relate more towards the music. Okay. So first of all, Rosa Damascus, right? Let's go ahead and give that a Google. It's a variety of highly fragrant rose, scientifically known as Rosa Damascena. Okay? So that's what we got here. The candle stutters because I got a lot to say on the lyrics. The candle stutters in the desert breeze, sets the characters dancing on a dusty page. The beginning of any good story is the setting. Here's your setting, and then right in the next line, you get your characters, right? Literally setting the stage, or in this case, the dusty page. The hearts of darkness beat in the starlight. A burning bush, the ashes glow. Charcoals blacken the embers. Show the words of the prophet, the promises of miracles, prayers of deliverance, faith in fire. We get a great little setup already here with setting, the heart of the characters, kind of, giving us an idea of the religious undertones happening here. Like, we're already getting a lot of depth and background before we even dive into the story. Before a timeless dawn, the shadows crawl, the dew evaporates, the rising sun signals the movement, a world in motion. The wood smoke lingers in the patchy thorns, where partridge scuffle, a nervous squall, a panicking hare breaks from his cover. Honestly, everything seems normal here. The figures wander through familiar lands, the razored rock, the scorching sands, follow the footsteps of lost generations that gather the flowers to place in their baskets. The scent of the petals carries the memories, the eternal fragrance of the rose of Damascus. What we're getting here is kind of a forward to the story. In my opinion, we're kind of getting a look ahead. Like, you know how, for example, remember, oh my God, the most popular World War II movie, D-Day, oh my God, why is it out of my head? Saving Private Ryan. You know how it begins? The movie begins in the future, like at the end of the movie. And then you go back and kind of retell the story. I read this as something very similar. So here we go. Now we have our character. And this is just, like I said, just normal. Back of a bouncing car, potholes, heading for coffee bars. Listen, life is normal. As it says here, lost in their teenage dreams, careless and free of their fates. They're oblivious. See, there's a fate. And that fate is here at the end. This is in the future. Here we go. Now we got our character. Her blouse unbuttoned, she opens the collar, checks the mirror for her lipstick smile, smoothing her dress. She glances behind her, condemning eyes are now so far away. Okay, so we even get us like, there's already deep character and movement. Her blouse is unbuttoned. Okay, not in a weird way, but as she opens the collar, like she's doing her makeup, looking good, right? And she says, condemning eyes are now so far away, eyes that would judge her. She moves in the bustling crowds, her confidence shows, her presence invisible. The beat of the pulsing night lifting her high on the wings of a butterfly. She's feeling good. She's going out for a night on the town. Maybe some people would look at her and say, why are you going out with your blouse unbuttoned? Listen, she's having a great night. Let her do her thing. Deaf to the gathering storm, screams in the darkness, whispers in the alleyway something's happening. She joins with the growing throng, carried away unaware of her destiny. Once again, destiny, fate, something's coming. We're already talking about the future. She breathes in the wind of change, heady with hope, the promise of freedoms, leaving the lights behind, a tear in her eye. She heads into the darkness. Okay, we get a lot of gathering storm, wind of change, which actually kind of relates to the lyrics as we move forward, but it reminds me a lot of Talking Heads, Remain in Light with Listening Wind, which is could be my favorite song on that album, and the story is even similar. Defiance scrawled on the walls, inspiring the ranks of keyboard warriors. The authors are all long gone, snatched in their sleep of dreaming in uniforms. Military, like we're getting so much depth around and the scenery and the surroundings in which she lives. You know, the graffiti on the walls, those who wrote this graffiti, this defiance against who? Probably defying against a ruler, a dictatorship, a governance, you know, anything like that. But they're all gone. Snatched in their sleep or dreaming in uniforms. They're either gone or they've joined. Guarding the cellar doors from the chill powdered snows, from the anti-Lebanon that silently lay a shroud on the fields of the dead in the damask rose. All right, color the sky. Men in color skies heard broken creatures reeking of fear. Dark caves for slaughter. Desiccated heads pinned on the rusty railings. So now we get a grim scene, right? Okay. Never-ending war, cynical rockets flying the soft targets. So now we're getting the idea of this war-torn place. And Damascus, if I remember correctly, is in modern-day Syria. So, like I said, we're bringing this all together. And this is such a great line. Over which helicopters hover, carrying Pandora's boxes to eviscerate. What a mythological and profound way to describe these ordinances, these bombs, these, you know, explosives. What a, you know, Pandora's box opens all the for lack of a better word, the sins of the world, and there you go. To eliminate the survivors below, sleek roaring jets. Okay, so you got the idea, right? And here we go. She came to in the rubble. So there's a gap of time, right? Obviously, the military is happening, bombings are happening. You know, they were all oblivious, the listening wind, and then to black. Wake up. She came to in the rubble and debris of her memories. In a broken world she couldn't recognize. She wanders in the landscape, a solemn wraith-like figure, in the company of ghosts she knew before. Through the canyons of the labyrinth, the twisted concrete skeletons, the clouds of smoke and dust that fill the skies. We have all seen pictures before and afters, many times afters, of bomb-torn, war-ravaged lands. and the absolute devastation of that, both past, modern, and no doubt, unfortunately, in the future. We're very familiar with these images. And I think the way that Fish writes this really puts us inside or on in that land, in that particular place, in that particular terror. The blinding light, it fell out of the heavens and changed her life forever. She's no one left. Everything is gone. She knows she has to leave. Nowhere to shelter. No food, no heat, no water. Struggling to survive. Like, just absolutely hopeless. And the lyrics continue to describe that scene here. And I really like this. The sweet, familiar fragrance, the delicate, fragile petals of the damask rose. Like, she is that rose, but that could even be extended to the people. The people are that rose. The city is that rose. It could be extended beyond one person, from individual tragedy to nation tragedy. And that rose losing its petals, you know? The flowers blown and battered, roots exposed, her nurturing hands wrapped the treasured cuttings in a fist of moistened clay to carry her on her journey to find another homeland. So now, of course, now she's looking, where do I go? Displaced, where to go? Soothing rhythm, movement of the bus, providing some temporary reassurance, lulling her into an uneasy seat. And then, you know, we get the journey, with smugglers and stuff, strangers full of promises, peddling hope, no doubt asking for, paid in greedy exchanges and then leaving them behind. I think that this is just a harrowing story that's really, really wonderfully written from Fish. And now she gets to this coast, she gets to the beach, the sands shift under her feet. Sands could also be in sands of time shifting under her feet. The waves racing up on the moonlit beach, dancing around her ankles, carry her to waiting hands to be pulled up onto a fearful, overcrowded boat. Now we're getting out of there. And then the end, she stares out into the night towards the dark sea that disappears into the horizon. Her past slips into the distance behind her as she nurses the slender waxed cotton bundle that holds her treasured stems, her roots, her legacy, her destiny. I read this two ways. One specific. Obviously, as she gets onto the boat to go wherever it is going to, get them out of wherever they, this bombed place, and to get them to some sort of shelter or safety. She holds the stems, roots, and legacy, the things that made her who she is. She is the rose, she is the flower, the bloom, and she brings in the things that made her that way. Of course, whatever keepsakes that she could bring. It could be a photo, it could be, it could be anything. Now, I read that in one specific way. I think she brings her child. I think that is no doubt her stem, her roots, her legacy, her destiny. Think about it once again as time. Her stems, the beginning, her roots, of course, growing from that. Legacy is what will stay after you're gone. Destiny is what's like way after. Past, present, and future, I think that's her child that she's taking with her. And that wraps this all up into an incredibly moving and emotional story that I think is timeless, unfortunately, but no doubt beautifully written and wonderfully performed by Fish. I think that this is a fantastic track. This was really, really good. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Carter, thank you so much for the recommendation, even though it was a few years back, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone, and I will see you all later. Bye, guys.